Welcome and thank you for coming for ZEVinnovation webinar. The project is ZEVinnovation is the short name for the project strengthening transnational cooperation, knowledge and technology transfer in development of electric vessels and fostering innovation in SMEs. So basically, we wanted to short the long name to give more better overview of what we are doing in the project. So we are more focused on the electric vessels and the field of the innovation. So my name is Boris Josic and I'm coming from the Center of Technology Transfer. I'm the project coordinator and of this ZEVinnovation project and director of the Center of Technology Transfer. I will give you in the few slides introduction to the webinar, and I will talk about ZEVinnovation project, one or two slides, just to give you the picture of what we are doing and what we want to achieve. My presentation is from the covering 6 fields. So we have a project and program, project partners, about the Center of Technology Transfer, project aim and potential, about plenary session, and about lecturers who will present today. About the project and the program. So the ZEVinnovation project is funded by Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway through the EEA and Norway grant fund for the regional cooperation, and the project benefit from 1.6 million euro grant. Priority of this fund is innovation, research, education, and competitiveness. So our project is trying to cover basically all fields. We are dealing with innovation. We want to help people to have research. We also want to connect education or university with the SMEs, and in order to try to work together on development of the new products. So this fund recognizes regional cross-border as and transnational cooperation as a key driver to find shared solutions. So basically, you can easily get to the new idea by sharing your knowledge with partners from other countries and working together on the different problems. And this goal, we had over 700 applications. In total, 20 projects selected. Only one project is led by the Croatian partners. In this case, is CTT, and that project is ZEVinnovation. So project duration is 43 months from 1st of July 2020 until 31st of January 24. So we have a long period, and we will try to connect as many possible companies from Croatia, Poland, and Norway to work together, researchers to work together, and to develop new products. We have 5 partners, 2 from Croatia, 1 from Poland, and 2 from Norway. This is the project partners. So we have a Center of Technology Transfer as a lead partner. We have Baltic Sea Space Cluster as beneficiary partners, Innovation and Development Innovacije Razvoj from Croatia also as beneficiary partners. And we have 2 expertise partners coming from the Norway, OKP and Vinco Innovation. So idea of this program is to transfer knowledge from the Norway through expertise partners to beneficiary partners in Croatia, in Poland, and on that way to work together on development of the new products. So short info about CTT. CTT is founded in 1996 by the University of Zagreb, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and Naval Architecture. The strategic purpose of the company is to connect science and economy, enhancing the competitiveness of Croatian industry, strengthening the role of the FSB in this process, and Center for Innovation and Technology Transfer. So basically, we are a one-stop shop for the reaching researchers at our faculty. So if you have any problems, you have ideas, and you need help, you need to find the professors who can work, you need to find laboratories, you can contact us and we'll try to connect you with laboratories on our faculty and with our professors. So some of our activities are transfer of knowledge into economy, so through different projects, and lifelong learning. So we are organizing a lot of seminars every year. Unfortunately, 2020 was very bad for the seminars, and 21 is still missing. So we will have. I hope that we'll have in the more seminars at the end of the year. So we also have incubation and acceleration of entrepreneur ideas. So we have tens of the companies incubated in the area of CTT. We also have a student incubator, and the idea is to activate students to research and have developing new ideas, new projects, and new products. What is the aim and potential of the project? So the picture on the left side showing the zero-emission vessels. So we have like 5 main pillars, which are innovation hub, tailored expertise, commercialization, best practice, and transnational collaboration. So in order to reach our transnational collaboration, we want to connect as much as possible, as many as possible partners, SMEs, research organizations from these countries, but also other European countries. We have tailored expertise. In this case, is we will help select companies in the field of business plan, in field of innovation, and in the field of technical part to lead them and to help them to reach the final goal, which is applying patents or entering on international market. We will also look for the best practice and share with all. And our focal point will be innovation hub, the place where you will register, ask for the help, and where we will select companies for the final mentoring and helping them in the development of the project. So now switching for this webinar, why we want to organize this webinar. So we notice a lot of challenge with zero emission vessels integration and innovation. So you have a very high upfront cost for ZEV technology. So we are at the starting phase of development, small, big, large vessels powered with electric batteries, powered with hydrogen. So we want to show you what are the potential to fund something like this. There is a lack of knowledge, awareness of ZEV efficiency and its benefits. So that's another thing what we want to show you. Lack of access to appropriate affordable financing mechanisms. So we will show you what kind of programs exist for the financing, but also how to finance your idea from the scratch with pre-seeding and seeding and startups. There are different support mechanisms and enablers for your development, like through supporting policies. We will show you what kind of supporting policies are existing, what kind of the funds existing, and what are the standards and regulation. This is the first webinar from the different series. Next on Thursday, on 21st of January, we have a second webinar dealing with intellectual property rights, where we will have opportunity to hear more about how to develop your intellectual property, how to protect, and how to use your intellectual property. So, and next period, we will look for additional webinars trying to show you more complexity, more problems, and how to solve them in the field of zero-emission vessel, in the field of renewable energy, in the field of innovation. After me, you will have opportunity to hear 4 different presentations coming from 2 from Croatia, 1 from Norway, and 1 from Poland. First will be from Amra Maric, coming from our partner Inovacije Razvoj. She will talk about Croatian experience and future perspective for ZEV financing. After her presentation, we will have a presentation for Per Ingeberg, coming from OCAP from Norway, and he will present about Norwegian funding source and transnational collaboration schemes. So he will focus more on how to connect and how to use the Norwegian funds and what are the potential of other European funds. Our third lecture is coming from Croatia, from the Phil Rouge Capital, Stevica Kuharski. He will present about Phil Rouge Capital and how finance your startups, in the in the first phase of your startups, what are the opportunities and how you can reach them. And final presentation is about the production of zero-emission ships, source of financing, presented by Marek Grzybowski from Baltic Sea and Space Cluster. So this is from me for the introduction. Idea is to have like 50 minutes presentation, and after presentation 5 minutes for the question. 1, 2, or 3 questions will be asked depending how long the answer will be on these questions. But at the end, we are planning to ask our presenters all questions received from attendees. So thank you very much. Thank you for the coming for the webinars. I hope that you will learn and hear a lot of things. And if you have any questions, any ideas for the cooperation, any ideas for the development of the project idea or starting up the company, please feel free to contact me, and then I will connect with other partners and share your idea problems. So thank you very much. This is from me now. I will stop my sharing. Amra will start with her presentation. Amra, you are.
Yes, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this presentation. Today's topic is Croatian experiences and future perspectives for ZEV financing. So what are the topics that we will cover today? Introduction is just the general information of Croatian shipbuilding industry, where we stand or what we did so far. Examples of good practice, the best examples, what Croatian shipbuilding industry managed to develop. Future perspective, what can we expect from future in terms of financing and further development of the sector. So as you know, Croatia really has a long tradition of shipbuilding industry that dates for 100 years in the past. During this time, we really managed to gather a lot of knowledge and experience in manufacturing different kinds of ships, such as fishermen, passenger yachts, but also cargo ships, tankers, and etc. During this time, but especially in the last 15 to 20 years, we are really overwhelmed with the past problems and limited sources of financing. Usually, via EU funds, we manage to finance only smaller projects, and we still are lack of huge programs that will boost manufacture of ships in Croatia. So it is time to turn the future, to turn to new ways of financing, to new ships that are better for future, not just for the industry, but the whole world in general. Where we stand, Croatia shipbuilding industry really has a huge impact on other industries. Especially this is important for Croatia because of tourism, that is the most developed part of Croatia. We really have an unused potential because zero-emission vehicles. Just a second, I don't see the. I have to. Just a second. Okay. We really have an unused potential of our location because we are standing in the center of the Europe. We are very well connected with all of the other European countries, but we don't still have the direction in which we can develop zero-emission vehicles. We don't have the support of the government, not just that we don't have a support, we don't have any directives that could lead us to greener solutions. For example, I think that many of you know that Croatian government tries to build LNG terminal on Adriatic coast, which is really not aiming to greener solutions. It's maybe a step back in the past. So we really are not in the good terms here. Just a second. But it's not everything so bad. We also have some example of good practice that are aiming towards greener solutions. Unfortunately, we still have only smaller examples and smaller investments that are usually financed with private equity or EU funds, because smaller companies are more flexible, but their projects usually go under the radar because they're not huge R&D projects that are financed with bigger sources of financing that are so-called something to be proud of. But we have one big project that got the financing via EU funds. It is called Development of Zero-Emission Passenger Sailing Vessel. It was financed via Operational Program Competitiveness and Cohesion 2014-2020. And the worth of the project was 10 million euros. It is implemented by Courageous, the biggest shipyard that is currently operating. It is called the Brodosplit, and the result of the project is the demonstration of the first prototype of a zero-emission passenger sailing vessel. So what is the future? Sorry, what is the future perspective, and what are the ways of financing the best projects in the future? So we have several ways of financing. First of all is, of course, EU funds. As you may know, we finished the operational program until 2020, and the new operational program for the next period is yet to be determined. Due to COVID situation, the operational program is not still determined, and EU managed to develop EU recovery plan for Europe that will last for 2021 until 2023, and it will be focused on all industries, excluding primary agricultural production. It will support initial investments in new economic activity. It will support process innovation and building business organization. This is particularly interested because large enterprises are eligible, but only in cooperation with SME sector. This is really important because it will help bigger companies to find different ways of financing, but also smaller companies that will have opportunity to work with bigger companies, to exchange experiences, to exchange knowledge, and to really be focused on bigger projects than that could be only by themselves. And support for trainings and combination of loans and grants for investments in the digital and green transition. Also, New Horizon program is yet to be determined. It will be focused on creation and improvement on clean energy technologies, such as smart energy networks, tidal power, and energy storage. This partnership aims for the EU to lead and accelerate the transformation of maritime and inland waterborne transport to eliminate all harmful environmental emissions, such as air and water pollution, greenhouse gas, and lead through innovative technologies and operation. By 2030, the objective is to develop and demonstrate deployable zero-emission solutions, which are applicable for all main ship types and services, and will enable achievements of zero-emission waterborne transport by 2050. Also, it is worth to mention some alternative sources, such as green sources, green loans, for example, private equity, private investors that have willingness and the capital to develop zero-emission vehicles, and of course the joint venture projects where they can gather the knowledge, capital, and experience to work together, but financed with their own capital. So to conclude this presentation, it is important to say that zero-emission vehicles are really a hot topic in marine industry because due to EU directives, we really have to focus on building more sustainable solutions with less ecological impact on the world. Further sector development must be focused on more sustainable solutions, and EU policies and practices will lead us towards those solutions. So, because we all know that building a ship and developing new technologies is really expensive. It is really necessary for governments on national and EU level to ensure quality sources of financing to maintain competitiveness, because otherwise we don't have much chances to be competitive on the world level. And as mentioned in Horizon, our objective is to develop zero-emission vehicles by 2030, and that is the goal that all of us should be aiming to. And to conclude this presentation, I would just like to say a few words to investors and to all interested parties that would like to develop zero-emission vehicles. You are not alone. You have a lot of potential to develop those vehicles because EU policies are demanding to, and platforms like ZEV platforms you really should use to find partners, to network, to find solutions, to build your own capacities, to build innovations, and to really leave good impact on the world, on your environment. So just a second, and that's it from me today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Amra, for this first presentation, for this introduction to our webinars. So, do you know what is happening? I have one small question. I will not go in more details. Do you know what is the situation with the new programming regarding RDF? Is there any news in the case of the Croatia? Is there any financing in this field? Did you hear something, and do you have some experience?
I didn't hear anything, but maybe Bojan from Innovation and Development could answer this question.
Hey, hi.
Yeah, you're here, Bojan.
Yeah, well, actually, the answer is it is still ongoing process between our government and of course European Commission, and unfortunately this earthquake also demanded additional how to say work on finding financial and other solutions to recover from the earthquake. And actually for R&D, unfortunately from structural funds or national funds, I think it will be laid off for maybe whole this year. Maybe we can expect next year some bigger programs, but there will be surely some investments for small and medium enterprises. Firstly, for investments connected to resilience to this crisis and equipping and building facilities and innovating the processes in small and medium companies. So that will be probably funded very, very soon.
Okay, this is actually good to know. Actually, this webinar will be, it can be very good. It can be used for the developing of the program. So we will present a lot of information, and I know that there are a lot of people coming from Croatian Chamber of Economy and also from the ministries on this webinar. So maybe they will hear something new and include something like new ideas in this funding program. So Amra, thank you. If
Thank you very much.
Yeah, in case if new question, Bojan, you said Bojan will answer. So
yes,
thank you, Bojan.
yes.
You're now in panelist, so I will mute you and you can always jump in. So thank you, Amra, and we go now for the second presentation. So our second presenters is Per Ingeberg, coming from OKP Norway, and he will present Norwegian funding source and transnational collaboration schemes. So Per, floor is yours. You can start.
Thank you. I will share my presentation. Can you see it, Boris?
Yes, I can see. So it's working.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Per Ingeberg. I'm EU advisor for OKP in Norway. OKP is administrative responsible for the largest maritime cluster in Norway, the GC Blue Maritime, in addition to the NCE Blue Legacy being covering the marine sector. I'm also project manager for representing OKP in the ZEVinnovation project, where OKP is 1 out of 2 experts. Today, I will talk about funding opportunities from national funding and also covering some of the EU programs with a special focus on the opportunities for small, medium entities. So I will start talking about the 2 main funding instruments from the Norwegian government in Norway, being the Research Council, typically similar to the ones in the beneficiary countries also in ZEVinnovation, and the Innovation Norway program. These are the 2 largest funding instruments in Norway for SMEs. I will touch by the Horizon Europe, and there may be some overlap with Amra's introduction to these programs. I will at the end go through 2 programs which is in particular interesting for SMEs. So starting up with the Research Council of Norway, they basically have funding available for research and innovation projects. And there are 2 calls, 2 programs, basically for SMEs. One is for R&D activities within the industrial sector. And the other one is demonstration projects where they ask for demonstration of new technologies. Both of these programs has, in principle, the same terms and conditions when it comes to maximum funding level. For each project, you can get up to 1.6 million euros in funding, then representing a difference in funding level. For the R&D activities, which is typically those with the industrial research, then you can, as an SME, you can get up to 70% funding. The technology readiness level will typically be between 4 to 7. And as we can see on the right side, demonstration of new technologies, which is more experimental development, then the funding level will be a bit lower and up to maximum 45% for SMEs. And the TRL between 5 to 7. If we look again at the R&D activity type of call for innovation projects, we see that they have certain, let's say, focus areas. And one of the areas is, as you see on the bottom left side, which has a call relevance to the ZEVinnovation program, where you should be promoting climate and environmental friendly maritime activities and green shipping. So this will be an opportunity going forward. And both these calls on the Research Council is sort of running calls with certain cutoff dates, but it is annually running programs. Last but not least, the tax incentive scheme, where everybody can apply actually if you have a project with a clear goal, with a clear scope, and that you can provide, prove that you will have a measurable result. They ask for projects from any industrial area. The terms here is that you get 19% tax deduction from a total of a maximum 2.5 million euros as the project maximum cost. And you can get 90% tax deduction from that project. So this is, of course, for companies being capable of doing business development improvements. This is a very, very good scheme, and it's for everybody actually. The other instrument of the government is a large program. They have large budgets, and from Innovation Norway, and it's available for demonstration project for the SMEs. Now you have to prove that your technology is sort of green, meaning that it will impact the reduction of emission, and it will be part of developing technologies and possibilities to reduce emission by 55% 2030 and then 100% in 2050. So this is obviously environmental friendly technologies they are asking for. Again, as the same as for the Research Council, the TRL is should be between 5 and 7. And since this is demonstration projects, it's experimental development. So according to the state aid regulations, SMEs can get up to 45%. But in addition, they also have budgets to offer you both risk loan and regular loan. So the blended finance will be potentially much higher than what can be possible through the Research Council. They also have a second one, which is sort of a bottom-up offer for innovation contracts. So it covers all the areas in the industry. And here you need to have a pilot customer. You need to have a contract with a pilot customer. And they basically say that the Innovation Norway funding needs to be crucial to the project. So it really needs to trigger the startup of the project together with a pilot customer. Now over to international funding, and Amra talked somewhat about the Horizon Europe, the new frame agreement coming up, not fully launched, and but we see that the draft is coming, and there are great potentials for the industry to participate. Everything is about research and innovation for a better Europe, and we see also that the focus on impact in a broad perspective for Europe will be even stronger than through the Horizon 2020 project. It's also about the European ambitions in a global perspective. And it's about the industry and the researchers' possibility to execute on the calls and the objectives. Of course, the opportunities for the company to earn and to develop will be important. And it also is about what you can do to increase the European competitiveness in the wide perspective. Now, what you as the SME or others need to consider internally before you sort of select the way forward through the, let's say, jungle of calls coming out from the Horizon Europe program is the size of your business. In what way you are willing to or able to cooperate with others, and the maturity of your innovation, the idea, and what TRL you are on the scale. So all these matters when you are looking at the calls, because they will differentiate between these areas. So looking at the pictures on the right side on this slide tells us a lot about the ambitions for Europe and set out by the European Commission. It's very much about green technology, and it's also very much about digital transformation throughout the industry and the research institutions and universities. The Horizon Europe, as Amra said, also big framework program, the 9th, lasting from this year and 27. It's a huge budget. That is a fact. And we don't know all the details about the calls yet, but we have seen the drafts, and it at least we can say that the principles is following the Horizon 2020 program. You need to be 3 EU countries at a minimum. And here is Norway, so-called associated member. So we will be looked upon as an EU country in that respect. Typical budget for the call per project will be between 3 and 10 million. And the project duration will typically be between 3 and 4 years. They are split between innovation actions, which can get up to 70%, which is basically the industrial companies, where the researchers and university may get up to 100% through the research and innovation actions. For ZEVinnovation, I think that pillar 2, we will have a closer look at that in the next page, but the cluster 5 under pillar 2 will be zero-emission waterborne transport partnership. So here I think we have an opportunity when we will start talking about the pilot projects going forward. Another program which is dedicated for SME cooperation. It's a cooperation between Eureka and EU, and a minimum of 2 Eurostars research and development partners. One SME need to be the lead, and typical budget of 1.4 million over 3 years, where you need to do a market introduction the second year. You can get up to 50% funding, and the SME lead also need to take on half of the work, the scope in that project. It's a bottom-up thematic areas. So in any industrial sector, you can apply for funding from Eurostars. There are other programs coming, but at the moment I do not see an opportunity from the EEA and Norway grants as zero-emission vessel are part of. They are just starting a 4-year program up to 2024. And after that, I'm sure that we will get more information in the following years. There is one European joint programming initiative. It will be research companies that can apply, institutions, but SMEs and the industrial companies can take part and also guide on the direction of the program. So these are good to be aware of. This is the big Horizon Europe program, and I talked about the pillar number 2, which is in the middle sector here. It's split into clusters, 6 clusters, where ZEVinnovation typically would have a closer look at cluster number 5, climate, energy and mobility, where we also had the waterborne transport sector part of that. So there will be a lot of calls coming from that cluster. If we look to the right here, there is pillar number 3, where we find European Innovation Council. And just to end my presentation with the last SME dedicated program, EIC Accelerator Pilot. A lot of people have talked about this program as a great opportunity, but very challenging. I would say that yes, it is challenging, demanding to prove that you have a good idea. And your idea need to be matured, ready for scaling up. And at the end of the project, you also need to be able to do a market introduction. It's all about the prototype, full-scale prototype, demonstration and testing, and piloting. In this program, you can do it on your own, but and obviously the SME needs to be the applicant, but there is no rules against having partners. So you can bring on board partners into the project, but you have to pay off their salary, so to say, through the funding that you receive. The total funding for a project here will be between 0.5 and 2.5 million euros. The project, as it's in nature, is a matured project, should be finished between 1 to 2 years. The funding level is nice, up to 70%, and that will be of the actual cost. And in addition, you get 25% overhead, which is quite interesting for, in particular, small, medium entities. In addition, you can get blended financing up to 15 million euros. You will also be offered follow-up and coaching by experienced senior advisors within the different areas relevant for the project. So I would say that if you look at one example from Norway, to the right here, it's a company called EEA. They was 1 out of 7 Norwegian companies that was granted financing from this program June 2020. And actually, I think Norway was second after France when it came to number of granted projects last year. It's a height TRL 6 to 8, And EVOY actually got 4.7 million to develop their electric propulsion system over these 1 to 2 years. And my message is that yes, it can be challenging, but it's definitely possible. So here are great opportunities. The accelerator pilot ended through the Horizon 2020 program, but it will continue into the new Horizon Europe. So I think that this was all from me, Boris.
Yeah, thank you, Per. I'm here. So thank you for this very good presentation. I think you covered a lot of different funding mechanism. And I have only one quick question for you. So in case that companies from Croatia, Poland, and Norway are partners in a pilot project, can all 3 partners get funding through the Research Council or Innovation Norway? Because that's something very interesting for our project and for the cooperation, in this case, taking into account that these countries are working together in the field of zero-emission vessels, and they have all experience. So your experience, what you think, what are the possibilities?
Yeah, when it comes to the national funding schemes from the Research Council and Innovation Norway, their terms is that the funding will go to Norwegian entities only. So if you have a project under the area of the Research Council, for instance, which is relevant to ZEVinnovation, the Norwegian partner in a pilot project will get the funding directly from the Norwegian institution, and it will benefit the whole project in that respect. So the Norwegian company will deliver its scope, it will get Norwegian funding, but the other partners needs to get the additional funding from the respective countries' research councils, unless you are this pilot project is part of a EU-funded instrument, then the project gets the funding directly and split between the partners and their individual scope. So I think that there are both opportunities, and you can also see combined funding instruments in the same project as well, as long as you are not double financing.
Okay, thank you. This is very interesting. You know, this type of the cooperation is actually what we are looking at, what we are trying to. There is one additional. Are there any financing source for startups, not SMEs, that cover more than 70% of the cost? It is very difficult to obtain a loan for the remaining 30%. So do you have experience there with funding startup? I think that the next presentation from Stevica will cover startup, but it's more linked with funding the startups, not projects with the startup. So maybe Stevica can give more information. But,
yeah, in Norway,
yeah.
if you have a startup funding instruments directly from, let's say, Innovation Norway as an example, where you can get direct startup funding, in addition to if you have specific projects. And that last year it was additional funding available due to the COVID-19, but that will be ended from January this year.
Yeah. Another option, actually, and good idea for the startups is to join a big Horizon consortium or Horizon Europe, where they can get 100% of the financing, and on that way they can solve the missing 30%. So I think that's one of the best solution for them. So try to find your ideas, try to look on the existing project, try to contact the coordinators or partners, and then see with them is there any new development of the project ideas, and then you can be a part or a member of the consortium with your startup and trying to develop your ideas. I think that's one of the best idea if you don't find directly financing of the startups. Last year, also in the case of the Croatia, there were financing of the startups through the RDF, and I think that maybe in this new financing period there will be option for the financing of the startups. So, but I think that maybe Stevica can give more information about financing. So Stevica, floor is yours. You are now. So please start with your presentation, and maybe if you can give answer on this question.
Thank you, Boris. Thank you, Per, for the amazing presentation. And thank you all for joining this webinar. So we're basically continuing with the presentation about startup financing. You can see my contacts on the screen. So after this webinar, you can contact me directly with questions you would like not to share, because we're obviously in Croatia and people are sometimes scared to ask public questions. My name is Stevica Kuharski, and my nature is being a startup guy. I've started developing software and playing with computers when I was 12, doing that on Commodore 64. I still have it somewhere, and I still sometimes have fun with that. Besides that, last year, because of the COVID situation and lots of people moving towards, let's say, healthy lifestyle, I moved to use electric scooters, and I really enjoy them, but I'm afraid to use the ones that have small wheels, like Xiaomi or something like that. So I use a little bit bigger ones that are still road legal, but they give me thrill like the startup world does. I come from Fieldrush Capital, and Fieldrush Capital is a venture capital fund based in Croatia. We are supported with European structure investment funds, and we manage 46 million euros that we invest in two stages. The first stage is early stage, when we invest 10,000 euros based on idea, and 50,000 euros through our accelerator program. Out of our venture capital compartment, we invest up to 2 million euros per ticket for the teams that are in a growth and the scale-up phase. It's very hard to say what is a startup, because there are lots of different definitions about that. My favorite one is that a startup is an organization formed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. The author of that definition is Steve Blank. And when said that, you need to understand that a startup is an organization with its hierarchy and with its lifetime. And of course, it's a business organization searching for a repeatable and scalable business model. I need to stress that, because small business is basically not having a repeatable and scalable business model. At some occasions, it's very hard to understand what scalability is. And my favorite explanation is basically that revenue has to grow on an exponential scale, while the cost is growing on a linear scale. At some point in time, those two scales will match. And after that point in time, the startup, the organization, will be cash flow positive. But you have to know that startup world has its own mindset and culture. And that culture might be repulsive to some people, and attractive to others. And that repulsive part is basically a hype part, where people are just hustling and trying to live out of the PR. You know, that might be good for some period of time. But after the hype, after the startup has shown they're building something good and they got the interest from media, from investors, they have to deliver. Because being a part of a startup or being a startup founder, that's not a game. It's in a way a lifestyle, but in its roots, it's becoming a business. But mind you, it's not a small or medium business. While opening cafes or restaurants or any kind of service agency, like software developing agency, might be a good business, might be a local business, might be international business. In the case of a software development agency, it's not a startup. Startup needs to be scalable, and startup needs to show the potential of growing fast. Software development agency cannot grow that fast as people would like to grow in a startup. Basically, software development agencies are body shops. They buy the time of their employees and sell them to customers. And this leads us to investments. So the first type of investment is you need to do your personal investment. That doesn't need to have include the money, but you need to invest yourself. You need to invest your time. You need to invest your emotions. And don't forget that time you cannot get back. You cannot buy more time. And especially you cannot buy or change your emotions. So that is your first personal investment in the journey you're starting. After that first step, there are optional investment steps. Taking the grants in Croatia from Hamag Bicro or similar institutions, similar organizations, taking the grants from Horizon 2020, phase 1 or phase 2. But you have to be really aware that there is no such thing as a free lunch. Those grants need to be covered by reporting modules, and very often grants do not allow you to pivot your product and project. And very often it takes 6 months or 12 months or even more to get the money. And by that time, your development process will be so different. And you won't be doing the things that you applied for, but you will need to follow up the grants and do the things that you wrote you're gonna do. Bootstrapping is a favorite model. It means that you're earning some money, you might be even cash flow positive. And if that business model is scalable, then that is really attractive for investors. So that is a desirable investment step. Try to build in early stage a really good model, a really good product that could seize the market. The next investment step, the next money comes from friends, fools, and family. Those type of people will support you no matter what. They, as you are, invest their emotions, but they help you with some money. They expect some kind of a return back, but the real value in their investments is that you are happy, that you are following and pursuing your dreams, trying to build something. And disappointment level in that stage might be very high if you do not follow, if you do not pursue your dream that they've invested in. There are some optional investment steps there: crowdfunding and crowd investing. Big difference between the two of them is that crowdfunding is intended for products, for physical products usually. And that's basically not a real investing, it's a pre-sale. And with this step, you are basically not gaining customers, but you are getting early adopters. And you are trying to learn how to convert those early adopters of your product to customers. Crowd investing is getting a bunch of people to invest into your company through some vehicle. In Croatia, there is a platform that you can use. In UK, probably the most popular one is Seeders. So this is a thing where you can get the money before you gain some big traction. The next step, let's call it the third official investment step, comes from business angels. Although people sometimes think that business angels are angels that will give you money, mind you, they're not giving you anything. The last thing you were given was by your parents when you were 18 years old. Business angels are businessmen that would like to give back to the community, creating new opportunities, but at the same time, they would like to earn money. And they basically expect return 5 times to 10 times of their investment, at least. And they will invest in promising ideas and good startup founders. It's all about you. The mediocre idea executed by great founders is going to succeed. The best idea executed with lousy founders will not succeed. In the next step, when you need more money and when you have a proof of concept and you need to do the product market fit to show that there are some users, that there are some customers that are willing to pay for your product and use it on a daily or a weekly basis. That's the step when venture capital funds like Phil Rush Capital come in. Our role is to invest in early stage through some educational accelerator program, which is much different from the incubator program, where the startup founders are informed about the market, where startup founders are informed about the future process. In this stage, we are helping the founders and startups to find the product market fit, to prove that their idea, that their product can grow, and that there are people and companies willing to pay for it. When this step is fulfilled, here comes the next step, that's a scale-up stage. In this stage, your company will need 150, 200, or 1 million euros to show that the potential of your product market fit is scalable and that you can move from your home territory, that you can sell not just in Croatia, but in Slovenia, Austria, Hungary, Norway, Poland, wherever and whenever. And this is the time, if not earlier, you need to start think about your venture as the real company. You need to start building processes. You need to start building the corporate knowledge and culture. Because if you do not do that, you won't be able to scale beyond this point. And for some retrospective about your company, about your idea, venture, first you need to ask yourself, why do you need money? Do you need money for yourself to have a good salary? Do you need money for your lifestyle? Basically, when you answer those questions, when you're cool with those answers, then you can start thinking about raising funds. And in that process, make sure you don't fool yourself with vanity metrics. Make sure that you have to know that letter of intents are not the traction that you're looking for. PR articles in the newspapers, on portals, on YouTube, on media, on social media, that's not the metrics that you're looking for. You're looking for active users and you're looking for active customers that will buy your products. And with this one, I'd like to conclude. If there are some questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Stevica. It was a very good presentation, showing a lot of things, and I know now much more, but I hope that our also attendees know much more about financing of the startup. So I have one small question. Did Fil Rouge invest in this field, what we are talking now with zero-emission vessels, electric vehicles, electric vessels? Do you have any startups, any ideas in this field? So what is the situation on the market? Is everything in IT sector, or is it more in this energy, renewable energy? So what is the status?
Thank you, Boris. That's a valid question. So far we did 82 investments, and with the new ones coming this week, it's going to be more than 100 investments. Out of those 100 investments, we have a few from green automotive industry. I believe the first one we made was a year ago. It was in early stage, so that was an accelerator company doing some kind of a hybrid system for ICE cars.
Okay. And what about situation with financing projects like this? So on universities, there are a lot of research projects working, but there are no, how to say, a lot of them are not finishing in the company. So is something like that interesting for the Fil Rouge to be contact to organize different seminars? For example, on our faculty, we have over 100 research projects. So, but from 100, I think that one or two will go to the companies, but maybe people don't understand the potential or things like that. It's hard to finance research. It's very expensive. You spend a lot of money, and your results at the end can show you something what you at the beginning know that is not working. So your experience with that, is there any companies or any ideas came from the projects, or let's say European projects or national projects?
Well, that's a hard question. It's not a hard question, but the answer and reality is hard and harsh. The thing is, venture capital funds, private equity funds, any commercial we're not investing, we're rarely investing into research phase of the product. We need to feel and see that the commercialization of the product is close. Because when the founders start looking for financing rounds from institutional investors like VCs or PEs, they need to be aware that we're looking for an exit opportunity in 5 to 10 years. So if the company needs to develop the product in the next 3 years, that really flattens the curve and doesn't help in exit opportunity. Okay.
Yeah, because I had people asking me from different funds to share with them ideas about research project, because you receive the money from the European Commission to work on research. You analyze everything, and then you can see is there a potential or there are no potential. So exactly. something with following with different funds, with the business angels, something a different story, and they can help that. So they are.
And let me jump in. Sorry for this. There is one very important thing: the sense of the money. While researching the project, a team can raise 200,000, 500,000 euros to do this. but they need to be aware that from the business perspective, they are at a very early beginning. So if something is researched well, and it raised, let's say, 1 million euros for this research, teams and founders should be open for smaller tickets of 50K or 100K to try to find the business opportunity of this. No matter the money they got there, they just need the money for the next 6 months to try to create the sales process for this one.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
in the end, all products need to go to the market.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for this. I think it's very good explanation, and we will be in contact in the future to start idea on our university or to go together on the project, because I see there are potential and we need to activate this and to start selling ideas. So thank you, Stevica, and thank you for very good presentation and your answer on these questions. So thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so our next presenter is Marek. Marek is coming from the Poland, from Baltic Sea and Space Cluster, and he will present about production of the zero-emission ships, source of financing, Poland, worldwide situation. So Marek, floor is yours. Please start with your presentation.
Thank you very much. Wait a moment.
F5, you can go.
Yes, I know, but
yeah. Click on your presentation.
yes, of course.
Yep.
But it's a problem, short problem, but we can start.
Down on the right, you can.
Yes.
Yep.
I know that it's. Oh, now it's working. Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Marek Grzybowski from Baltic Sea and Space Cluster. I have a presentation about production of the zero-emission ships, and I inform about sources of financing from the global point of view and from Baltic Sea region point of view, and I invite to cooperation in this presentation with managing director from Chris, Daniel Okruciński, and Daniel informed about practical aspects of sources of financing and financing zero-emission ships from different point of view. Short information about Baltic Sea and Space Cluster. It is areas of our activity, and here is information about our members and partners. Cluster is focused for cooperation with innovation companies. We support our members in knowledge transfer and cooperation with international market. And about presentation. In some slides, I show you information about global situation and situation in our activity, electric and hybrid vessels production. It is information about our project, zero-emission vessel. And now information about shipping market. Shipping market, it is, as you see, about 950 billion world from Clarkson's experts' point of view. And here on the graph, you have information about situation of the market, but what is very important in this information that experts from Clarkson's inform that about 80 billion United States dollars, it is the transition towards zero carbon vessels production. It is perspective for 12 years. And here you see top 10 ship owning nations. You see that Norway is on the 6th position, but Greece, Japan, China have first 3 places in the top 10 ship owning nations. And shipping market review, general information. Now we have currently about 280 biggest yards with combined capacity 55 million CGT. The global order book is now the lowest on the lowest level in 15 years. Now we know in the December that we have just 2,600 vessels or 70 million CGT in order. But what is important now, that 121 yards in December 29 have order cover beyond 1 year, are due utilize 84% of their capacity in 220. But what happened in 220? Now, in November in 220, we have in orders about 500 vessels with 27 million deadweight were ordered during the first 10 months of 2020. And we can compare to 10 months of 2019, it was about 1,000 ships. Now, order book currently equates 7% of the world fleet. And now I show you last information from vessel value from January. And you see this in this graph, the situation in the shipbuilding market. It is current situation in the shipbuilding market in $1 million. And now information about the order book, ships with alternative fuels. The information about the battery and hybrid propulsion ships you can find in this last row. You see, we have fleet with about 140 vessels and more than 100 vessels in order book. And the situation of number of vessels, you remember that we have in order book 100 electric and hybrid vessels, and you see that this situation about number of vessels and order book number of vessels in 2020. It is current situation from 2021. And information about situation in construction and market electric and hybrid vessels. In Maritime Battery Forum predict that situation in 2020 is in this graph, and in 2021 we have the situation is not so good as previous year. And here information about zero-emission vessels and hybrid ships Polish shipyard production. We have a good experience in production zero-emission vessels and hybrid ships for international market. Mainly it is Scandinavian market, but you see we have two leaders in Poland. One, it is shipyard Christ, and the second, Remontowa shipbuilding. And information about ship finance practices in major shipbuilding economies, and it is information from OECD research, and here is general information about sources of financing ship production. And in next slides, I show you general information about this solutions. I think that these graphs, it is good information about sources of financing of shipbuilding. Here you have information not only about sources, but about level of financing in different years, and you can compare it with LIBOR rate. This is information about 5-year LIBOR rate in equity financing by types of financing in 10 years. And in next slide, you can find information about syndicated shipping loans, and it is information about this shipping loans in $1 million, and information about total constructions in CGT in million. Here is you find in this graph. And next information about bond proceeds in $1 million, and you see different levels in during this 10 years. And next information about leasing deals in $1 million, and you see this data inform what has changed during these 10 years. You see in 2014 it is very small support from leasing deals. And information about selected banks with strong position, Chinese banks in the shipping in the shipping market, and general information that Chinese financial institution increased from, you see, $30 billion in 2011 to more than $70 billion in 2017. And now Chinese financial institutions accounted about 30% of the world's total investment in shipbuilding. And information about activity of different institutions supporting ship production. One of the important institutions, there are export credit agencies, which provide a range of different products and services. What kind of these products we have in shipbuilding market? And it is guaranteeing repayment of a loan by a financial institution to an overseas buyer, insuring against non-payment of a credit extended by an exporter to an overseas buyer, and providing direct loans or credits to overseas. And it is very important information. Then you receive direct loans or credit to overseas. But of course, all kinds of activities have a price. Export credit agencies intervene within the framework of OECD arrangement on officially supported export credits and its sectoral understanding on export credits for ships for the participants to these two agreements. And participants, these agreements currently are Australia, Canada, European Union, Japan, Korea, New Zealand, Norway, Switzerland, and the United States. All the participants of the agreement are also participants of the SSU, except Canada, Switzerland, and the United States. And none of the agreements include China. And here, general information about export credit support. You see that cruise and ships and ferries catch about more than 50% export credits. And cruise and ships and ferries production received more than 50% of this support, this kind of support. And information about top 10 countries by country of the borrowed of export credits for ships. You see on the first place is United States with more than $7 billion United States dollars support. And next information about countries provided export credits for ships. It is OECD calculation, and you see that Europe is on the first place in this kind of support ship production. Information about other public financial supports. Some countries have special banks. In Korea, we have the Korean Development Bank, which support shipbuilding in Korea, and China Development Bank, which support production of ships in China. In France, French shipyards have received French state support, and here is information. Here is information about institutional support. Of course, in a lot of countries, governments support shipbuilding, and governments can also combine different instruments such as equity, export credits, and so on. And of course, we have local support. For example, Finnish hybrid RoPax vessel it is conversion of the ship and for hybrid ship, and Port of Tallinn invested 1.6 million euro for this conversion. And the next other types of ship finance, of course, banks. We can use stage payments. Some vessels can be paid in 2 installments. State-owned enterprises received direct support from governments, or by government-related agencies. And the next solution, there are mergers and acquisitions. EU as organization supports now in last period of activity 19 green maritime projects with 142 million euro. I received information that Norway green hydrogen ships program granted about 8 million euro in EU funding. And some examples: ship Topeka will run on a 1,000 kilowatt-hour battery and a specialized hydrogen fuel cell, which means the vessel would emit no greenhouse gas emissions from the moment it launches. Currently, the plan is for scheduled the ship in 2024. In Denmark, companies create a consortium which has built hybrid ferry, electric ferry, Helen. It is about 60-meter long car and passenger ferry. Total cost of this ferry is it's more than 21.3 billion euro, and contribution of the EU is more than 15 million euro. And two biggest ferries in our market, Tycho Brahe and Aurora, they are the world's largest battery-powered passenger ferries. Total cost of reconversion is about 33 million US dollars. And now I have invited Daniel to inform about financial of the increased electric ship production. I will present 3 examples. It is a double-ended ferry, and the next it will be hybrid ROPAX, and the next cooperation with Holstein. Boris, can you invite Daniel and give him a microphone? Is it possible?
Yeah, he is here, so he can now talk.
Okay.
Yep. Do you have me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, thanks for the invitation. Good afternoon to everybody. Chris Shipyard, it's for the past decade involved in the green energy or zero emission shipbuilding, and we delivered the vessel. Sorry for that. And we delivered the Electra, which you can see on the screen, which is the hybrid. However, it operates basically on the electrical propulsion. And we delivered this vessel in 2019, and at the same time we delivered the other ROPAX for the Icelandic Ministry of Transport, which also was a hybrid. However, because of the roads where the vessel is operating, the hybrid is fully used as a hybrid. And this double-ended ferry Electra, it's purely used as an electric vessel. And as a shipyard, we are involved in with Holstein in half a dozen other projects where hybrids or green energy solutions has been introduced in the form of the vessels like multi-purpose vessels, cable layers and passenger vessel. So this kind of solution it's coming more and more into the picture when it comes to the shipbuilding. Coming back to the finances, as a shipyard, we do not build the vessels on shelf. We only exercise the contracts with the clients. So the financing of the projects, we just only look at how the clients are financing their projects, and we are making the assessment of their capabilities. And the only financing where we are involved as a shipyard, as a shipbuilding company, it's the bond guarantees and performance bond guarantees in the form of the guarantees for the performance, and also for the bank guarantees. for the repayment of the milestones payment. Well, unfortunately, we've heard today about many options for the financing and helps of various institutions, EU and the governmental support. Well, I have to say that our shipyard do not see any of those upcoming or being realistically provided to us. So we basically depend on the banks, insurers, or the financial institutions for the support for the realization of the projects. Well, basically that would be all from us, from Chris.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. It is short information. Of course, we can do further information. And on the end, our presentation information for participants about ship production in Poland. We have potential now 30 ships per year. 100% of the ships are going on the export. Ship conversions, we have potential about 90 ships per year, and 95% production is going to export. And the next, we have Poland is a leader in yachts and boats production. We have produced 22,000 yacht and small boats per year, and 95% for export. Then we have potential to produce electric and hybrid vessels in big and small shipyards. And in our Baltic port of new technologies, you see here is Christ, and Christ has a big potential to produce with support of our cluster members, zero-emission vessels for export. And the last slide, it is information about our activity in international market. Thank you very much.
So Marek, thank you very much for this presentation. You showed a lot of information from different perspectives, how to finance our ships. And do you know what is the status with this financing of electric vessels? Is this for the short near the coast, or most of these ships financed and built are for the near coast? Is it correct, or they use it for the longer distance? How to say? What is the typical use of these electric vessels you showed?
Maybe Daniel can support me in this answer. Daniel, can you answer on this question? Because you're we can different kinds of financing sources. Yes, Daniel, can you help me in answer on this question?
Okay. If Daniel is not here, so maybe later he can jump in and answer. But basically, now what is the transition happening? Where is the happening this transition? Is it in the field of the short distance electric vessels? Maybe Per, do you have more information for this? Can you jump in if you have more information about how and what is happening with electric vessels?
I don't have any specific information related to the what you are exactly asking for, Boris.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Because now it's actually very interesting to see where this transformation is actually happening. What is the typical use of these electric vessels? So how to say what we can expect in the near future as a first step of the transition. So probably,
Okay,
yeah.
I think that obviously the electric hybrid vessels is a lot of them are short distance ferries, of course, and then
Okay.
you have other specialized vessels such as short sea shipping, coastal transportation. And you also have other specialized vessels now looking at not only battery but also fuel cell technologies for special offshore operations. Not the far going operations, but more on the short distance.
Per, do you have more info about what is happening with the fuel cells and the hydrogen propulsion? What is the status in Norway? Do you have more info? I know that I remember from your past presentation you mentioning development of new hydrogen ships in Norway, but what is the current status? I think that all investments going to electric vessels at the moment.
No,
well,
in my opinion, I think that that the market is growing, but I think that in 1 year we can produce market invite and ordered about 100 vessels per year, not more. And now electric and hybrid vessels have a big opportunity for markets, for local markets. Yes, and I think that it will be difficult to receive orders for so big ships as Tycho Brahe. There are big ferries, but these ferries have a chance to work in short distance. Then when we find local markets in North Sea and Scandinavian market, it is possible to produce electric ships for these markets. I think that in Mediterranean we have a lot of local markets when we can cooperate with investors to sell zero-emission vessels. It's my opinion that we have in Baltic Sea region, in North Sea and Mediterranean Sea, a lot of local markets to cooperate with our producers, our shipyards, and sell, and we can sell zero-emission vessels for these markets.
Okay, thank you, Marek. Per, your comment about this, you know, because I think that Norway is a leader in the field of the hydrogen. So your experience about this hydrogen, what is happening at the moment, only if you have more information about this and how it's financed, this field of the hydrogen, development of hydrogen ships. So this is the only research phase, or is there any possibility to finance from Norwegian government or something like that for development of these ships. Just to give, you know, overview and maybe to something try to transfer to our countries.
Yeah, I think there is a mix of different funding instruments, both when it comes to research and development and also demonstration projects. So we see right now funded projects both for large ferries, for passenger fast ferry passenger vessels, and other specialized vessels. They are all funded by national funding instruments. But it is at the stage of continuous development, research and development when it comes to the type of power system. Fuel cells will then depend on, okay, are you going to use ammonia or hydrogen? LNG is another mid-step way forward. And then you need to prove, and the continuous discussion on liquid or gas hydrogen is going to continue for some time. But I think that there will be a transition between already started demonstration projects and actual applications like we see now for the Havila Kystruten, which is the coastline transporting both the passenger and goods along the coast.
Okay.
It will be a combination, it will be a hybrid. It will start up with a battery and then it will continue to develop fuel cell solutions to be implemented at a later stage. We see a lot of those projects.
Okay. So this is actually very interesting, and I think that next webinar should go in this direction. What type of the propulsion is happening now, and what we are looking or expecting in the near future, because that's something very, very interesting. Thank you both of you, and I have one question to Bojan. Bojan, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
I forwarded to you questions. So it's the question is about possibility that in the near future can be co-financed the development project of small companies in Croatia engaged in the production of small and medium boats. So is there any opportunity for that in the near future, or did we have opportunity to finance something like that in the past through the RDF projects or?
Okay. Yeah, but well, actually those grant schemes are repeating usually with small or medium differences between those grant schemes. So for now, if you're looking for a grant, there will be probably two options in this year and the coming year, 2022. So for there will be, as Amra mentioned, one financing scheme to support the processes and business innovation in SMEs, also in collaboration with large enterprises. There will be up to 50% co-financing from EU funds, and but there will be, since this will be our competitive grant scheme, I suggest that you plan to develop this electric boat as a part of your bigger, wider innovation process of your organization, which perhaps means some combination of producing and chartering for tourists and stuff like that. And this scheme will probably go very soon in this year. And also there was a large R&D and innovation grant scheme for development of new technologies, new products, etc. So if you have some technological risks and you can prove the innovativeness of these new products, then you can probably go to those grant schemes. There is financing from EU funds to up to 80%. Actually the status of this grant scheme is that it is planned maybe in this year or probably next year. So yes, please know that preparation of these schemes and the project proposals needs a lot of time and money, and also a little bit of luck, and in some cases the fastest finger for application on the calls.
Okay, thank you, Bojan. Thank you, Bojan.
And one information,
Okay.
Boris.
Yeah.
Okay, you see this slide, and here is the view from the bridge of electric ferry. Here you have information about batteries and motors. Here is the electric ferry, and here it is captain on the bridge have seen what happened in the electric propulsion and how it's work. Yes, and it is bridge from Ria electric ferry, which is going with between Swedish and Danish ports. Thank you.
Okay, this is very good information. So more or less those were questions. So we answered all of them. If there are some questions are not answered, I ask all our attendees to send us email, and we will try to answer on your questions. All presentation from this webinar together with the video will be available on our website, so you can visit website and download all presentation or watch video. And in the case if you have if you need any help with the project development, or you think that we can together work on development of new ideas, please feel free to contact us and follow us on our website, on our Facebook and LinkedIn page, where we will try to, in the near future, to add more and more information about project, about the findings from the project, and how to finance your project idea, how to protect your idea, and other things from this field. So thank you everyone for this, and see you on Thursday with the question with the webinar about intellectual properties rights. So thank you very much, and bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.